We see the very beginnings of the church in our first reading. The apostles said, we can't do all the things that people are asking us to do. So they institute the order of deacons. And we have one of those here. He was one of the first ones. Not really. He was on the second round, but to be of service to others. But there is a line in this particular reading that bears a little more attention. When God had done this for the deacons. But then St. Luke writes, the number of disciples in Jerusalem increased greatly. Even a large group of priests were being obedient to the faith. That's somewhat extraordinary. The priests were temple workers. Now, Jesus was not one of the priest in the sense of the Leviticate priesthood. You had to be members of the tribe of Levi. But these were the men who ran and took care of the business of the temple. And the job of a priest is to offer sacrifice to God. And so these men, and there were many of them, day after day, long into the night, every day, they would offer the sacrifice. Now, they were animal sacrifices, but over and over again. And it is said that you could smell the temple before you could see it because of all the burning flesh from the sacrifices. Now, we are not members of the tribe of Levi. Many people say, well, I'm not a priest, I'm a layman. That is a very incorrect statement to say. That's wrong. At your baptism, at my baptism, we were anointed as priest, as sacrifice, as prophet. So we are made by our baptism to be priests. And that means offering sacrifice. Now, I have a ministerial priesthood as a priest of the church, and in this sense, for Mass and confessions. But I'm also a priest by my baptism. And I'm required by that elevation to offer sacrifice. Well, what are you talking about, Monsignor? Well, think about how you have to sacrifice in your family. Rather than trying to brag and always have it your way, is to sacrifice and let it be somebody else's way. Most of the homes I visit are far too feminine. You don't really see the masculinity, because when the guys say, well, let's do this, the woman says, oh, no, that's not in good taste. You can't have that. No. Maybe sacrifice that. And maybe let the decorations be not just what you think they should be. Sacrificing ourselves to have that harmony in our family. To sacrifice blurting out our opinion no matter what, even if I don't know anything about it. And just sacrifice the want to talk, not need to talk. Because a lot of our talk is not needed, it's just wanted by us. To sacrifice our sarcasm. And that especially can come from our children, who can be so sarcastic. Sacrifice our desire to have something new all the time. There's a new phone out. Got to get it, Mom. Sacrifice that. And there's so many things like that can happen. And to be a holy priesthood in your family. To be a holy priesthood when you're driving to work. And some irresponsible driver, cuts you off and things like that. Be a priest. Just wave at him and say, go to heaven. But to sacrifice the anger and the frustration, there's no need for that. That just enslaves you and their bad behavior. And I could go on for about 2 hours about the different kinds of sacrifices that we should be making in our lives by the virtue of our baptism. So we get closer to God. And in that second reading, we have this beautiful, beautiful end of St. Peter's talk here. You are a chosen race, a royal priesthood, a people made of his own, a holy nation, so that you may announce the praises of him who called you out of darkness into his own wonderful light. Most people do not think that they are a chosen race, a royal priesthood, a holy nation. That's what you are supposed to be. Over and over again. And that means acting like Jesus. Walking with Jesus. Holding yourself up as a royalty. We saw that beautiful thing that the British do very, very well. The British know how to put on a pageant. They really, with all the things and horses and furry hats and all that kind of stuff, they know how to do that. But that's not it. Because we have a better pageant than they do. We have the Eucharist. In our parade in church, coming up to receive not an earthly king, but a heavenly king. And to carry that in our lives, to act like royalty. And the greatest kings in history are the ones who loved or is loved by the poor, by the needy. Read about St. Louis IX in France. And read some of his writings to his children. Powerful, powerful royalty in daily life. That's who you are. Monsignor, I don't like being royalty. Well, you are. Get over it. And act royally to one another where you work. And have that joy and the hope of what God has said. For here in the gospel, I will come back and take you to myself. So that's why we can have great hope. Because God always does what he said he's going to do. And we've never seen God and all that kind of stuff like that. But if you've seen Jesus, you've seen the Father. And having that hope, that virtue that trusts in God and does not let the nastiness of this world get us down. Catholics should be the most optimistic group of people on the face of the earth. We have no right to be pessimists, because God's going to come back and take us to our true home. Yes, there are bad times. Yes, there are hard times. Yes, there is tragedy. All of that's true. But we should not lose our hope and our vision of what Jesus is, who Jesus is, and what he said. For he is the way. You want to know how to be a Christian? Look how Jesus lived. He is the way. He is the truth. And if Jesus isn't true, then nothing is true. Nothing whatsoever. And I am the life. Let us kind of take all that in. It began in us in our baptism. And we are those living stones out of which is built the community of the church. Not the buildings, but the community of men, women, boys, girls, all those people who'd come together and walk in that royalty. You are all royalty. You are all princes and princesses, all of you, from the time we're baptized. We're in a royal family, the greatest royal family that has ever been on the face of the earth.